What's going on, y'all? I'm back with another video, but today I have some sad news to cover. So unfortunately, earlier today, rapper Rich Homie Quan passed away. Many people believe it's an overdose. It hasn't been confirmed yet, obviously, because they haven't examined his body, but many people believe it was a overdose and a heart attack. What's causing them to believe that is his girlfriend on the 911 call, which has been leaked, which that's a whole nother story. I don't understand why. I don't understand how these 911 calls related to celebrities get leaked so easily, but that's neither here nor there. But in the 911 call, his girlfriend said that he was foaming at the mouth. So that has led many people to believe that, based on her description of him, that he may have had an overdose and a heart attack. He was only 34 years old. I'm not sure if like some of the younger kids from like Gen Alpha were too aware of him, but if you are somebody like me who was in high school back when he first blew up in the early 2010s, you know that at one point he was like not just a star, but he was like a borderline superstar with songs like Type of Way, Lifestyle, Walk Through, Flex. Like he had a very underrated discography. His trajectory seemed like he was about to be out of this world, and he was even having an impact outside of just the songs, as far as him doing his like Hit the Quan dance, like that dance that during the mid 2010s, if you were around then, you would remember doing that dance, which it was a fun moment to it was a fun dance to do. It was a fun moment in that era. Of course, even though he seemed like he was gonna really become as big as Young Thug became. In my opinion, honestly, I thought that he was gonna become bigger than what Young Thug has become over the years, but it didn't really work out that way for him, unfortunately. Even though he's very talented, he faced a very challenging couple of years after that initial wave that he caught in the early to mid 2010s. So, for the people that forgot or just were too young to remember, or were too old and didn't pay attention, his momentum kind of stalled out. It kind of like slowed down. The momentum that he had in the mainstream, it kind of slowed down after like the mid 2010s, because he faced several issues back to back. One, of course, was he was having legal issues with his label, Think It's a Game Records. Think It's a Game Entertainment, where he was taking them to court and having issues as far as wanting to get out of that deal, and being in a situation where he couldn't really release music like that. And of course, as we all know, in this day and age, if you go long periods of time without releasing music, it could cause people to kind of brush you off and forget about you very quickly. Then also around that time, there was a moment where like several hundred songs, I forgot the exact number, it might have been like 300 or something, but there were like several hundred songs that leaked from him and Young Thug. But most people paid attention to the songs that had him on it that leaked, mainly because there was several songs where he had very controversial statements that he rapped in his lyrics that turned people off. I'm not gonna say exactly what he said in the songs. If you wanted to find out, you could look that history up, but that kind of caused him to lose some momentum as well. And then also around that time, he was trying to be a part of a Biggie Smalls tribute on, I believe it was like the BET Awards or something like that, where Little Kim, amongst other people, they were performing classic songs from Biggie. Rich Homie was on the stage and they were performing the Junior Mafia song Get Money, and he didn't know the words. He messed all the words up, and again, that turned people off. It made people feel like he didn't take it seriously, or he didn't know his history when it came to Biggie. And he made the excuse that because he was from Atlanta, they just weren't listening to Biggie like that, which respectfully, that's just not a good enough excuse. Even if that is the case, you were invited there for a reason. People were turned off because they felt like it was unprofessional to not know the words. But nonetheless, even though he had a very rocky couple of years, he still was always a very talented artist. And I always kind of had a bias, because I thought No offense to Young Thug, but I always thought that out of that tandem of Rich Homie and Young Thug, I just always thought Rich Homie had the higher ceiling. So it definitely was kind of tough seeing him go through that rocky period. Then also speaking of Young Thug, Rich Homie and Young Thug, they fell out. It was never really spoken about for years. We just the general public, we all noticed that Rich Homie and Young Thug didn't really seem to be around each other much anymore. And it wasn't until years later where Rich Homie did an interview, I believe it was with Academics, where he kind of detailed his perspective of, you know, what happened and what led to them kind of distancing themselves from each other. And it's definitely hard to watch old interviews now of Rich Homie talking about his addiction and how much he struggled with drug use, especially the drug Molly. And that's definitely the downside of not just the lifestyle that he was living, but also the type of music that reflects that lifestyle. Because all throughout music, we always, not always, but in many cases, a lot of the music that gets pushed the most is celebrating certain things that are very self-destructive, whether it's and it's not even just a hip-hop thing, whether it's a country song about getting drunk all day and drinking beer, or whether it's a rap song about taking Molly. In many cases, we have a tendency to always hype up things that can just ruin our lives. And unfortunately for Rich Homie Quan and his family, that same sort of issue came back to bite him, of course. One thing that's definitely sad about this is again another reminder that many people, like many general fans of music, they typically are not going to give you your flowers until it's too late. Which isn't, I don't want to like go too hard on like music fans, because again, people are distracted all day long, so obviously they're not gonna have time to give flowers to every single artist. But at the same time, the part that just makes it so sad is that when an artist falls off, it's one thing to just leave that artist alone and, you know, let them just kind of do their thing, because he was still doing his thing, still dropping songs like Got Your Wings and 34, which were cool songs. But the parts that just sucks is that you have a lot of fans that before he passed, if you would have talked to them about Rich Homie over the past couple of months or years, they would have just dismissed you and laughed and clowned him and said that he became irrelevant, when whether he's relevant or not, the number one focus should be, did you enjoy his music and did his music hold up well? Like, did it age well? You know, in my opinion, I do believe several of the songs that he had aged very well, but they're gonna go out of their way to put him at a legendary status, which I'm cool with Rich Homie being considered a legend, because like I said, I'm biased because he was somebody who I was listening to a lot in high school, and I thought he was very talented with the style that he had, which at that time, that sort of style wasn't really the normal yet. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like artists like Rich Homie Quan, Future, Speaker Knockers, like a lot of those guys, I feel like are low-key kind of the architects for where a lot of rappers are today when it comes to the sort of trap rap melody sort of raps that we see that's so prevalent these days. But I kind of went on a tangent, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And oh, okay, I remember what I was saying. Yeah, so also Rich Homie, I do believe he should be considered a legend, of course, but it's just a shame that that sort of title doesn't get put on somebody in most cases until they're already dead, which again is just sad to see. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below.